This video is for the dads. First of all, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. And if you feel stressed or exhausted or worn out, this video is for you. Oftentimes, we find that dads are accumulating a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, and can be difficult to really find time to prioritize themselves. And really, sometimes they experience even anxiety or exhaustion, a lot of different things, because there's a lot that goes on in this world and there's a lot of pressure. Honestly, almost half of dads said that they experience stress and anxiety due to the pressure of fatherhood. And 48% of men say that they are satisfied with their friend groups. And so there really is this epidemic of men being exhausted, being tired, and also being lonely, which is a big component in stress management. And so we find that in our office, Sunlife Chiropractic, we see a lot of kids and a lot of moms, and that really is our heart. We love seeing kids and we love seeing moms. And we have a joke that dads oftentimes don't come in until they are crawling. And so it's not uncommon for guys to wait until there is a significant issue or immediate pain to really make that decision to choose their health and to choose their well-being. Whereas we find a lot more the moms are more proactive or are more interested in that preventative care, and frustrated a lot of times with potentially their partners uh, attitude or perspective on really holistic or preventative care. And so this is something we notice a lot. And it really, I think, is rooted in just the difference in maybe understanding or perspective, or really ultimately maybe even masculinity, and the culture that says that guys should be strong and not, quote, maybe be babies. And so we really are saying, hey, you know what? You are so valuable and so important, and you should feel as good as possible. And we want to support you in reaching your optimal potential. And that starts with us being able to come alongside and regulate your nervous system before we get to a point where you have to crawl on in here. And so, what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about stress. Everyone knows stress is one of the most common and impactful things that we're experiencing. We experience stress in three ways. We have physical stress, which is exercise, slips, falls, posture, which is very applicable to our dads out there. If you're getting in the gym, that's physical exercise. If you're sitting at a desk, that's posture. And so that's a lot of tension, prolonged tension on your low back, on your neck, on your shoulders. And then even your sleeping position, that's physical stress. And so we know we're carrying a lot there, a lot of tension right in through our traps, and a lot of tension in that low back, especially if you're sitting at a desk. And then also with exercise is a physical stress. So that's physical stress. Then we have mental and emotional stress. With mental and emotional stress, we see that in a lot of different ways, but especially for men, there's a lot of pressure. And, there's a lot of pressure on the world, a lot of pressure just in society. There's a lot of go, go, go. There's a lot of hustle culture. And so there's just a lot of pressure, and it's okay to admit that there is a lot of pressure and a lot is expected out of you on a daily basis. And that you're not weak for saying there's a lot that's expected out of you, but actually very strong and very brave for recognizing how much is expected out of you and how you can support your body to really support it in reaching that. And that you're totally capable and it's totally possible with the right tools, and you're not weak for asking for tools. And so that's mental and emotional stress. And then the third one is environmental stress. And that's just the fact that our world is filled with toxins. We have environmental pollution. We have what kind of food we're fueling our body with, different medications, if we're getting sick a lot. All of that is environmental stress. And so we were noticing that the combination of these three is really putting a heavier and heavier burden on our bodies. And so we have this accumulation regulation of stress. And that's how we see a lot of stress in dads. And what does stress do? Why is this important? Well, what happens in stress is our nervous system has two branches. We have the sympathetic, which is the fight or flight, the parasympathetic, which is the rest and digest. So what happens is we get stuck on this sympathetic fight or flight, what we call the gas pedal, because everything is expecting more out of us. Everything is saying, go harder, go faster, go stronger, more, more, more. And we really very rarely prioritize and make time for the rest and digest, or what we call the brake pedal. Now, this is important because when we're stuck on this gas pedal, it causes a dysregulation in your HPA axis. HPA axis is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. This is the communication between the brain and the adrenal glands that produce hormones. Honestly, there's a lot of different hormones that the adrenal glands produce, but what happens when the HPA axis is stimulated, this is your body's stress response, and it's going to produce cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. And when we have high cortisol, we have high inflammation, we have a weakened immune system, we have chronic stress, chronic fatigue, our body is worn out. It's going to produce adrenaline. And that's going to be important because on that fight or flight, on that gas pedal, that's when our body would run from a bear or a tiger. This is imminent danger. This is saying go. But we're constantly exposed to this. So we're constantly hearing, our brain is constantly triggering this hormonal cascade of saying, run from a tiger, run from a bear, danger, danger, danger. Really like fire alarm, fire alarm, fire alarm. And so we trigger this cortisol, this high stress, and then we get all of the repercussions of having high cortisol or high stress hormone, which is especially important because one of the things that men oftentimes, right now especially, is they're talking a lot about having low testosterone. And if you have low testosterone, or you think you have low testosterone, or you're even going to a clinic for testosterone supplementation, it's interesting because the higher our stress is, the more we're stuck on this gas pedal, and the more cortisol we have, the more we're actually inhibiting or shutting down the production of testosterone. Now, that's important because while testosterone does decrease with age, why are we seeing so many energy issues, fatigue issues, stress and anxiety, all of these things that make us then say, okay, we're low in testosterone, younger and younger? What's happening? And the product and the reality of that is high stress, unregulated, unaddressed stress. And so stress is the root. And so we see this hormone cascade. The adrenal glands produce cortisol, and when it's producing cortisol, it's inhibiting testosterone and other hormones. So not just testosterone, we're overproducing cortisol and underproducing other hormones so that the adrenal glands can focus on this cortisol production. And what happens is that's a hormone cascade throughout the whole body. And that impacts every function in the body. And so we're underestimating the impact that high chronic unresolved stress is really making in our bodies, because our whole body is connected. Every cell, tissue, organ in the body is intricately wrapped together and related to the nervous system. And when we have one thing that skews, it impacts everything else. And so the fact that we think that we can either, hustle through it or suck it up or things like that, it just simply is not true, but that's okay. We're not supposed to be able to handle it all. We're supposed to be able to support our bodies. And so really recognizing and really focusing on how can we consciously and very intentionally push the brake pedal? What are we doing in our lives to push the brake pedal? Ways we can push the brake pedal are chiropractic adjustments, meditation, acupuncture, massage. There's a lot of different ways to push this brake pedal, but what are we doing to consciously push the brake pedal? Now, as a neurologically based chiropractor, I think the best health and coolest health hack out there is the chiropractic adjustment, specifically because I understand that our world is busier and crazier than ever before, and we really don't always have time to do a 45-minute meditation. And then you're commuting on the way home, and then there's traffic, and then there are kids when you get home, or you're working from home and there's kids and there's a lot going on and you're trying to manage a lot. And there's just a lot going on. And so, really, the focus on okay, how can we carve out this intentional time for the brake pedal? The chiropractic adjustment is so cool because it is 5 to 10 minutes and makes such an impact, and we directly impact the brain through the adjustment. And so, chiropractic is obviously my main recommendation because I love how easy it is to implement and what a massive difference it really makes. It delivers a big impact with a smaller commitment of your time, which to me is sustainable. And so, what ways are you implementing pushing the brake pedal that are sustainable and you're able to really benefit your well being? We'd love to see you at Sun Life Chiropractic. We'd love to get some scans done on you. We do a comprehensive neurological scan so we can see how stressed out your body is and where your body's at and how we can support you. But overall, we just want to see you be the best that you can be. And ultimately, that comes with just giving your body support and the tools that it needs. And we look forward to helping you along that journey.